Okay, let's continue. You were going, Mr. Soni, to say something in response to what Mr. Montana had said before lunch. You may do so, but I want to plant this idea that in order to make sure we make progress, it may well be that your team should note the things that Mr. Montana has said and the criticism that he has articulated, but maybe not respond now. We carry on, try and finish what we have to do, and then at some stage when it's done, you can then deal with all the criticism and so on, so that we make progress, because otherwise we get held up.
As you please.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let's do that. But it's important that your team members, your team notes all the criticism, all the concerns that Mr. Montana has mentioned, so that they can be looked at on their merits at some stage later.
As you please.
Yeah, okay, all right.
May I, though, raise one thing, Chairperson? We have a very resourceful legal team managed to get...
Yes, just pull the mic closer to you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Ms. Tanga managed to get the email that Mr. Montana was concerned about from Mr. Beer. So may I just have leave to hand that up? That just clears one small part.
Okay, no, that's fine.
At least we know that
yeah,
we can attend to that.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Soni.
As you please, Chairperson. If I could just read into the record what the email says, and then perhaps we should give it an exhibit number if we want to admit it. But
yes, starting with who it is from and who it was addressed to,
as you
and
please,
what the subject matter is and the date, yeah.
And you'll see, Chairperson, based on what is contained in paragraph 3 of Mr. Beer's affidavit, the reference is KDB2.
I'm sorry, you want us to link it with what page in what bundle?
Page, oh, sorry, Chairperson. Bundle, bundle H, SS 18, page 121.
121. Oh, that is Mr. Beer's affidavit.
We're just going to finish that very quickly, but I thought I could clear that up. That will help, Chairperson.
Yeah.
Chair, can I object?
What are you objecting to before he reads?
Because this is,
yeah.
I'm glad that this is here.
Yes.
But let's not regularize something that is irregular.
Yes, but I want to hear what he has to say about it first. What are you talking about?
Yes, but I'm saying that we are even giving it a number and everything when we're supposed to deal with it, Chair.
Well, I haven't given it any number.
You was mentioning the number, Chair.
And I said, once I have read it in, we can decide whether we want it admitted as an affidavit, as an annexure.
Yes. So let him read. Let me see what it is. Let him explain, and let me hear what it says. Then, if you have something to say, then you can say.
Okay. I was merely saying, Chairperson, that when one looks at the title given to the document, it's Annex here KDB 2. It's the same one referred to in paragraph 3. That's the one Mr. Montana was concerned about. And this is an email from Ms. Ursula Willis, dated the 11th of March 2013, to bookings at On Money. That's obviously Mr. Beer's company. And CC'd is Mr. Montana, and the subject is Mr. T.L. Montana, address for Valuation Center. And it says, "Hi Daniel, here is the address for a copy of the approved plans. However, the valuation you provided us with is from 2009. Since then, the property prices have changed. I spoke to Nolene and the regional head, William Liversidge, and they will not be able to value the property for more than 7.5 million rand based on the current market conditions. Due to this, I do not want you to waste your time dropping off the plans when we will not be able to value for any more than we have." And it is seemingly signed by or sent by Ursula Willis.
So you are saying this is the annexure that is referred to in Mr. Beer's paragraph, is it paragraph 2?
Paragraph 3, Chairman.
No, paragraph 3.
On the second line.
That Mr. Montana was saying is important.
Yes.
Okay, before we proceed, Mr. Montana, do you want to say something?
Well, Chair, I'm glad this thing is here,
Yeah.
because again, this email is so material in two respects. The first one is the fact that it shows how that the first plan around the buying this property was me approaching the bank. That is why you see this email from Ursula Willis. Secondly, it confirms the point I was making, that the reason why we didn't proceed is not because of any shenanigans. It's precisely because the bank refused to value this property for more than 7.5.
Yes.
Well, I think the bank was wrong, but that is immaterial. The factual evidence before us, it tells us the story, Chair. Now, if you take this out of the equation, okay, then you're going to tell us about the fact that we were doing ngesizulu or shiga. So you are keeping this out because you are trying to say, no, there's
Yes,
something.
but hang on, Mr. Montana. I know what you think about its absence earlier. You have told me that. But now it is here. You have no problem that we admit it.
No, Chair. That's the second issue.
Yeah, what do you say?
The second issue, Chair, is about, I know you've given a directive on how the team should be dealing with that.
Yes.
Chair, you're sitting with a chap who's very unhappy here. And I'm not going to let it go, Chair.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, Chair, you have to give.
No. You have got to put your side, put how your concerns.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Chair, you see, when Mr. Soni spoke earlier on, I've said, of course, we have said that the statement from Ms. De Beer,
The affidavit.
no, it's not an affidavit, Chair. It's a sworn statement in the matter in court. It's not an affidavit deposed to the commission, Chair.
No, it's not. It is on the face of it. It is an affidavit. A sworn statement and an affidavit is the same thing.
Yes, Chair.
But
not for this
probably
commission, Chair.
not made to the commission.
Chair, it was not for this commission.
Yeah, no.
And therefore, the issue that I've raised before, I said the admissibility of all these documents that were lifted, that are not the problem where the committee. You've made the point, and I've accepted, Chair.
Yeah,
Look, when we investigate, we look at everything.
Yeah.
Here, it's not looking at everything. It's the commission placing reliance on these documents that I even say beyond that are improperly obtained. So I'm saying, Chair, that For now, we'll note this document. Until such time, Chair, that overall, with all these documents, as you have now directed, that you look at this document and satisfy yourself. And I'm saying, Chair, that they undermine the impact on the very integrity of this commission. It's like something is being sneaked in for an agenda. Even if that is not the so, it says that. And I think the chairperson should not take this lightly. So I'm saying, Chair, that as a next step, for now, until you have made the determination, we note it. I knew this email, Chair. That is why I couldn't provide it, because I'm replying here. But let me mention the second point that I think is very important. I'm going to continue with evidence, Chair, responding to being taken through these documents. Mr. Soni said, didn't say Siangena or TMM only paid. He said, we know that. Now, we know that. Is he speaking on behalf of the legal team? Is he referring to the commission? Chair, the fact of the matter is that for us to proceed now with this document and this thing that is based on lies, I think the chair should request, I'm willing, I'm not happy, but I'm willing to come here again tomorrow, Chair. We get this affidavit and we get the bank statements, Chair. Because the crux of why we are sitting here centers on what Mr. Sonia said, was dealing with, about who funded these properties. You remember yesterday, and this will be my last point, Chair. Yesterday I explained, I said, when you look at precise trade, it is quite clear from the very statements that are being presented that there are a lot of people, there are a lot of investors even there. And you can even see on some of the notes, this commission has jumped all of those, Chair, and I'm speaking on the strength of what has been asked for me. So there are other people involved. Now the question arises, the lie out there is that TMM Siangena paid. And I'm making a submission that they didn't pay, Chair. I've checked and I'm satisfied with the information. And we think that if Mr. Soni says Siangena or TMM paid to precise trade, Chair, we have to put this thing on the table now, before I even proceed with all of it, because I can't answer because this thing, the whole thing is based on a lie, Chair, and I don't see how I'm even going to participate in it. I'm going to sit, listen, Chair. I want to help the Chair. I think it's either we do what we did yesterday, the Chair get that affidavit, number one, the Chair get the basis of that statement that Mr. Sonia said, okay? We put them on the table, and finally, Chair, he says, Mr. Soni, that they've replied, they've responded to the statement or the application by TMM and Siangena. But Chair, I haven't been finished. As a person, I'm probably as the word goes, the number one accused. The number one accused has not been, even if we're in a criminal court, Chair, my legal team will stand up and say, we're not given this document, we're seeing them for the first time. And a good judge will say the matter is dismissed. Go home, Mr. Montana. So Chair, I'm saying I do not want us to jump and proceed. I know, Chair, that you are saying study, but the issue of the payment is so central that it affects about how we deal with the remainder of this pack. So I'm prepared, Chair, to go till late tonight if we get. I know that you've got an afternoon session. Yeah. But my request, Chair, would be that this is so fundamental, it's got a bearing on how I'm going to be asked this question, Chair. Mr. Soni says, before him, there's a corrupt man.
Let's take this step by step, okay? Now, with regard to this document, Mr. Soni can reflect on how he wishes it to be dealt with. One approach is for it to be admitted separately. Another approach is for it to be slotted behind Mr. Beer's affidavit on the basis that is where it's supposed to have been. Of course, you might articulate another possible approach, but those are the two that come to my mind. admitting anything doesn't necessarily mean what is written there is true. That's a separate issue. So when it comes to the other documents you are talking about, I get the impression that part of your concern, maybe the main concern, is that you are saying what is contained in those documents, or at least some of it, is not true. And that's part of your concern. But in addition to that, you still have this concern about the affidavit that you were talking about before lunch. Now, let me ask, during the lunch break, was the Secretariat asked to look for it? They might not find it so quickly.
We have found it, Chair.
You have found it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Are there enough copies?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I think why don't you hand it up, give him a copy, and then we can take it from there. I'm stopping Mr. Montana. I'm not continuing because I didn't know that it has been found. So the fact that it has been found might affect what we are going to do next. So I'm not continuing with what I wanted to say.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah.
Except, Chair, that on two things.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Chair, that, this email supports my version, Chair.
Yes.
I should be jumping and say, let it be admitted.
Yes, yes.
So when you say that it can be admitted separately,
Yeah,
maybe, Chair, that is something that I can live with.
yeah, yeah.
But, Chair, your summary of what my problem is
Yes.
about these documents
Yeah, it's not complete.
no, it's not complete, Chair.
Yeah,
Let me indicate what I'm saying.
yeah.
I'm saying, and you remember I raised the issue about fairness, that the commission has to evaluate evidence on both sides.
Yeah, yeah,
And then the chairperson will come to a determination. That I respect, Chair.
yeah, yeah.
What we are having now, Chair, because the evidence leader is an extension of the commission. Is assisting the commission in completing the job. The commission, therefore, has now entered the arena, is boxing with me, Chair. That is the issue. The commission has accepted a particular version, which is false. Now, I'm not saying it must accept a true version, but what the commission should do is to say that all the people who are making allegations against Montano, let them file, let them put their affidavit, and that they are led through a process. The evidence leader leads them through that process, and then I'm invited to come and reply to them, and then I also had my rights to either to decide to apply to the commission. These people, Chair, are not here in the arena. I have Mr. Soni standing here and saying, Tiangena or TMM paid for these properties. And he says, we know that. He said family, Chair, that's what he said. Okay? I'm saying it is false. And I'm saying the reason why it's happening is because of how we deal with this evidence. So the most proper and fair way is to say, all those people who are making, so if Werksmans or Paul O'Sullivan or anyone who believes that they've got evidence to support their thing, they must not do it behind Mr. Soni. Okay? They must do it themselves, and Mr. Soni can lead them, and then I'm invited, Chair. What is happening now? I'm here at the commission to assist the commission, and I'm boxing with the commission, because the commission has admitted evidence that is not its own evidence. It's been what? Lifted. Okay? In the process of investigation, yes, would lift. But in terms of placing reliance on a version that has to be put before the commission, it can't be. In fact, it tells us that this process is so fundamentally flawed. And Chair, that's the heart of my objection. So the people who are making accusations against me, they're not here.
Yeah.
But they're speaking through Mr. Soni effectively.
Yeah, okay. So as I understand your your position as it stands now, as we stand now, it is this. One, there are documents here that you are going to be questioned on. You have a problem being questioned on those documents before certain people are called to give evidence in connection with those documents. You say those people who may be accusing you. They should depose to affidavits first and subject themselves to questioning by the commission, and thereafter you get called to respond to them.
And I can also exercise my right to cross-examine
You can
these
then
witnesses.
apply for leave to cross-examine them. Now, maybe before I say anything, with regard to, I know that I said earlier on, Mr. Soni, maybe the legal team can deal with this later. Do you want to say anything on this limited issue about his position?
Because I don't want to inflame a situation that seems
Yeah,
to have heated up, I don't know for what reason.
yeah,
So let me not say anything. I'd rather hear your,
yeah, okay, all
your
right.
way forward.
Okay. Now, maybe to be on the safe side, let's just identify the documents that you have a concern with before I can go further. Let's identify which ones exactly.
Chair, it is the preliminary report, and I mentioned it at
Yeah,
the beginning,
yeah.
with all its annexures, Chair.
Okay.
With
okay.
all its, except, Chair, except the affidavit of Mr. Robert,
The partner for
the partner.
Mr. van der Waals'
Exactly,
partner.
Chair.
You don't have a
Except-
problem because he testified.
He testified, he presented, the
Yeah.
other states testified, Chair.
Yeah,
And now it's clear that they didn't even depose of affidavit.
yeah.
How were they allowed to come here, Chair?
Okay, well, let's go to that report, Mr. Soni. Where do I find that report first? I just want I want to see the actual documents.
The report itself.
So basically, the documents are those which are annexures to the preliminary report, except for that
For his
particular
affidavit,
affidavit.
Chair.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So that's bundle 8,
Yeah.
SS 18.
And what
the
page?
report starts at page 4.
Page 4. Starts at page 4, goes up to page 32, and then the annexures start from page 34, is that right?
Yes. that
And
is-
they go up to what page?
Well, the whole document, together with the annexures to the annexures, goes up to page 240.
240.
Yes,
Is that right at the end?
yes. Oh, sorry, 241.
241. Yes, okay. And as I understand your concern or objection, it is simply that because certain people who are connected with these documents have not deposed to affidavits and have not testified. If they deposed
Some testified without evidence.
yes,
Sorry,
yeah,
without
deposing to affidavits.
yes, to this commission.
Yeah.
Particularly all those lifted documents, Chair.
Yeah.
I'm saying let's put them aside.
Yeah.
Whoever is behind them, let them come, we can do it this week, let them depose of affidavits, attach these very documents. And so that my rights are not trampled upon, Chair.
Okay, let's clear this. In respect of those people who testified, even if they didn't depose to affidavits, do you have a problem with regard to their documents?
Chair, the document that we've just been discussing
Yeah,
of Ms. De Beer,
yeah,
I know she attached this document. I'm saying that, for example, that there's a big problem with that. Well, the report I have a problem with, Chair.
yeah, no, the reporter.
That we've passed.
Yeah,
The,
yeah, maybe we can go through, yes.
Chair, there's a Parkwood issue. Chair, there's the documents there. And then there is
I'm sorry.
there's a document we dealt with earlier already, Chair. On
Let's,
Parkwood, we can't withdraw it, Chair. I'm saying there's a document on Parkwood,
yeah,
which I'm happy with Parkwood, Chair.
yeah,
I think that
there's no problem with Parkwood.
It supports my story fully.
Yeah.
Now, Chair, we've got Annexer OR2.
Tell me what page that we
This is
have.
page 98.
Anything before page 98 is fine.
Chair, no, there's a report before.
Yeah, no, the report I know.
Yeah, there's Parkwood we've dealt with.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
the same principle, Chair.
Yeah,
That apply. We have already
but
passed.
we've dealt with
We've
it.
dealt with it, so I don't
Yeah.
want to go back.
Yes.
Chair, then there is the,
So we start from where there's a problem,
I think we started page 98, Chair.
page 98. Okay. Yes. That particular document is what? What is that document, Mr. Soni?
That is a commentary on the annexures that follow from page 105. So what one did there, Chairperson, is took the documents and set out from page 98 to 104 what the relevant documents say.
Yeah, okay. That you have a problem with that
No, Chair,
document?
I have a big problem, Chair. If you look
Yes.
at page 27.1,
Yeah.
that is actually at the heart. So the commission has summarized this document.
271.
If you look at page 99,
I'm sorry.
and that is, what is it called, bundle H.
Yeah, you are referring to page 2 something just now. You said it's at the heart of whatever.
Yes, no, I'm saying it's, well, I was looking at the number of the document, but I'm referring to the red numbers 99, Chair, at the top.
99, yes.
99.
Yeah.
And if you look at the paragraph 7,
Paragraph 7, yeah.
7.1, 7.2, 7.8, and all of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a summary by the commission, as Mr. Soni says, that they're pulling this information
Yeah.
from the document.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it is not only false, okay? And if it was false and it's said by a witness, it will be fine. I'll be able to challenge that witness. Now, Mr. Soni is gonna summarize and advise the chair
Yeah.
on something that is very false. Now I must fight. Basically, I'm put in a position, Chair,
Yeah.
where I must actually fight Mr. Soni to try to prove to him
Yeah.
that this is not true.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay,
and,
so-
and Chair, let me say that I've noted and kept quiet. Because if you look at even the line of questioning, it's not one that opens up and say, we are trying to and giving me these various options. I'm taken through this. At the end, I'm told that someone will. Okay? That's the method, Chair. All these witnesses who were here, especially in respect of PRASA. You'll see Mr. Mulefa sitting here, Ms. Ngoye. They were given the platform to say everything under the sun. For me, I'm not even asked on a particular issue. I said, can you, Mr. Soni says, Mr. Montana, let's agree on the methodology. I said, I agree. He said, the methodology is going to be, let us confirm the factual matters. And then we'll then take it from there. I allowed on Parkwood, Chair, knowing that Parkwood is even my strength. I built the property and I sold it. But when he finished that, the very same, to facilitate the work of this commission, he then comes to a conclusion. He doesn't say, having then confirmed some of these factual issues, I want to put the following propositions. They were not for me to accept or to reject. He moved from those, jumped those propositions, and then we concluded on that matter, Chair, where he says, I'm putting to you, and says some people will say that. Now, that evidence was not even tested. Now, if you look at 7.1, 7.2, and all of them, which is a summary of the commission, I don't have any problem with somebody being wrong. It shouldn't be the commission. The commission cannot be factually wrong, cannot get these facts incorrect because they've lifted this thing from somewhere. If they come to that determination as a result of their investigation, it's fine, Chair. So you can see that document, Chair, 7.1, 7.2, and you go on and all of those. This commission moves from the premise, which belies the statement made by Mr. Soni before lunch, that there's the propaganda machinery out there has been telling the country
Okay, no, that's fine. I understand. So, but this is, you have a problem with this document. I just want to identify the documents
Chair,
that you have a problem with.
Yes.
This is one of them.
Yes.
Right, let's continue. Let me identify.
Chair, can I remind you that when I say I have a problem, I'm saying that if the people behind these documents or these allegations put them forward, I'm willing to deal with them and challenge them, but not by the commission, Chair.
Yeah, okay, all right. Let's identify other...
135, Chair, in page 135, there's again a summary.
When you skip, this document that we have just dealt with, that you have a problem with, does it refer to a number of documents that come after it? Mr. Soni, does it refer to...
It just refers to the agreement
Yeah.
between Mr. Montana and Anne-Marie and the guest house.
Okay. What I'm trying to do is just identify. So does the agreement, Mr. Soni, go up to page 116?
Chairperson, let me...
or is that another?
Sorry, I think we're talking... the document that I thought you were saying that Mr. Montana had a problem with seems to be Mr. Beer's affidavit, which starts at page 121.
No. What we were talking about just a few minutes ago with Ms. Montana is the documents at page 98.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to establish now, because Mr. Montana then moved to a much later page, and I'm trying to see whether he's jumping other documents because they are part of this one that he says he has a problem with.
Chairperson, maybe I can take you to them one by one.
Yeah.
So after the summary are the documents that are relied on. And that starts at page 105. That was the agreement between the guest house and Johann Smith. That was from 105 to 110.
210.
Yes.
Okay. So that would fall, that's the agreement.
That's the agreement. That's the first document we went through in regard to
Yes, okay.
So perhaps Mr. Montana should be asked.
And then the next document, do you
Chair,
have a problem? with?
let's do it properly. We've started with page 3, is the preliminary report.
Yeah.
We've passed that.
Yes.
Chair, the next one is the notes in respect of annex.
I'm sorry.
Page 34.
Will your junior just make a note of the page numbers of the different documents? Yes, the next one after the preliminary
Chair,
report.
is page 34.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
What is it, page 34?
page 34, Chair, is what Mr. Soni
Oh,
refers
what
to the
we-
notes.
Yeah.
For example, let me give you an example.
Yes,
Chair.
no, I see.
You see that?
They fall into the same category as the other
As the
notes
other
that you have
says,
dealt
Chair.
with.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to.
Yes, okay.
Disparity between value and purchase price. Not the commission saying that. It's Paul O'Sullivan in his affidavit. And now it is a position of the commission. So Mr. O'Sullivan must file an affidavit,
Yeah,
and then he's questioned, and we follow the process
yeah,
properly.
no, that's fine. So that's the next, that goes up to page 39, is that right?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay. And then,
Chair, you'd recall that there's that long document. I think if you look at the emails, some of the documents that have been lifted, the offer to purchase, Chair, there's no problem.
there, yeah.
That we
okay.
must accept. I think
Okay.
that I've signed that. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
And then
Is that the
other-
offer to purchase at page 46?
page 46, Chair,
Okay.
and that will include the addendum.
The documents that are before page 46, but after the notes, you have no problem with those?
Yeah, no, for this particular one, Chair, I don't have.
Yes.
So I've got a problem with the notes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not the documents, Chair.
Yeah. So from page 40,
Is it page, I thought it's the notes, so it will be page 40 to page,
Because would it help, because I know the documents and I'm familiar with them.
Yes.
I can just deal with them in bunch, not to make any comment, but just so.
yeah,
that
you know,
they're not-
you can say, yeah, you can
So page
lead us,
40
yeah.
to page 45 are those email exchanges between Mr. Montana and Ms. Willis.
Yes. Do you have any problem with those?
no, those are fine, Chair.
Those are fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the next one is the offer to purchase by Mr., from Precise Trade made to Mr. Montana. That's at page 46 to 50, to
51.
51 or 52.
Or 52.
52, Chairperson.
Yeah, he said he has no problem with that. Is that correct, Mr.?
That's correct, Chair, and then,
Then
yeah.
the deed of
53
transfer?
to 56 is the deed of transfer, Chair.
No problem with that, is that
Problem,
correct?
Chair.
Then the addendum.
Hang on. I must hear Mr. Montana confirm if
I confirm,
you
Chair.
have no problem, yeah. That's 56, 53 too?
Sorry, that's 53 to 56, Chairperson.
Okay, all right. Yes.
And then the addendum is 57 to 59.
Yes, you have no problem with that either, I imagine, Mr. Montana? The addendum?
The addendum, no, Chair, I'm happy with it.
Okay.
And then 60 to from 60 onwards, there are emails between Mr. Montana and Mr. Van der Walt. 60 to 64, Chair.
62, 64. Is it 62, 64?
Yeah, as you please, Chair.
Yes. Montana, any problem with those?
Yeah, Chair, I think, no, I'm happy with those till 64, Chair.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Mr. Soni?
And then there's 65 to seemingly 76 are all the designs and photographs sent to Mr. Montana by the people who were effecting the improvements.
Okay. What about those, Mr.
No,
Montana?
Chair, that particular document, it runs in fact with other emails to page 90, I think 94,
Yes,
or rather 90, until page 94, Chair.
Yeah.
You recall I even objected because it is those pages with lots of numbers.
yeah,
And we couldn't even explain what these numbers were, where they're coming from.
yes,
So I think, Chair, that we'll need, of course, that there be a confirmation of what these numbers are.
yes. I understand the part relating to the numbers, but with regard to, that's not to a single document, isn't it? It's different documents, or is it one document?
No, Chair, it was presented, there are three different players there. I think that one starts in 86, Chair. Yeah, I think the design actually ends up in page 81. So that is from Mr. Mnukwa.
Page
That's not-
91, you mean, or
That-
81? Or no,
65 to 81.
65 to 81.
Yes, Chair.
You have a problem
I
with?
don't have a problem, Chair.
You don't have a problem
I
with
don't
that?
have a problem.
Okay, that's 65 to 81, no problem. Okay, and then 82, okay, Mr. Sonic?
Yes. 82 to 83 is a job detail sent to Mr. Montana.
I don't have the problem, Chair.
You
There are
don't have a
two,
problem.
including the one after, I don't have a problem.
Okay, even the one at 84? Is that what you said? Even the one at page 84?
Yeah, even the one after, Chair.
Okay,
84 is obviously the,
Yes, till 90.
84 and 85 are those emails.
yes. Is that fine? That's no problem?
That's fine, Chair.
Okay,
86 onwards is
the document he was
the
talking
document,
about?
yes.
Okay, so that he has a problem with the document starting at page 86 to
94.
94. Okay,
No, Chair, we recall that that is an issue here. 91, if you go to page 91, that's when we have a lot of numbers. We're
Yes,
not
that we don't know
We're
what
not even sure, and I said,
Yeah.
if I look at it, we are not even sure whether it is part of that document. So until that document, Chair, is, I think that until page,
is your only problem the numbers, these figures? Once there should be an explanation by way of affidavit or something
yes, Chair.
that
these numbers
explains
are
what
fully-
they
exactly,
mean.
Chair. Exactly, Chair.
Other than that, you don't have any problem.
Yeah, no, these numbers, Chair, I think if there is an explanation, we don't even know which document they link to.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
standing on their own.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to deal with properly, Chair.
Okay, no, that's fine. But also, I just pause here to say, it depends whether anybody wants to make an issue of them also.
Yes,
If nobody wants to make an issue of them,
then we can
they just happen to be there and they are not going to be put to you, it might not be an issue. You go along with that?
Chair, I'm happy.
Yeah.
My fundamental issue is that
Yeah,
the commission must not enter the arena.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the
No,
issue.
no, that's fine. Okay, that's up to 94.
yes.
Yes,
Then
continue, Mr. Soni.
95 and, 95 and 96, 95, 96, and 97, it relates to the email to Mr. van der Walt from Mr. Montana about the appliances. And then
Yes.
97 is the invoice or the order for the appliance.
Any problem with this?
I'm happy with that,
You
Chair.
are happy with this, okay. And then 98, we know you have a problem with the notes. And then the
That's up to
agreement to
page
purchase, you have
104.
no problem with.
Until the notes that they go to 204.
The notes go up to 104,
104.
yeah. And then, Mr. Soni,
Then
continue.
you have the agreement of purchase and sale, which,
Sorry, Mr. Soni, 198 to 104, Chair, we said we are keeping out.
You have an objection.
I have an objection.
Yeah,
The
you
note,
told-
I have an
yeah.
objection, Chair.
Yeah, you told
Because
me.
that's where the falsehoods are carried, Chair.
No, that's fine. You mentioned that. Okay, 105.
105 to 110 is the agreement to purchase by Mr. Smith.
Yes, no problem with that.
No, Chair, I'm happy with that.
Okay,
Then 111 is 111 to 116 is the agreement by Precise Trade to purchase the property
Money
of the
Guest
guest
House.
houses.
I don't have an
no
objection. to
problem with
Chair.
that. Okay. Yes, Mr. Sonia?
Then the deed of transfer, Chairperson, is at 117 to 120. That's an official document.
Okay, no problem with that, Mr.
No,
Sonia?
no, I'm happy with that, Chair.
Okay,
And then, of course, there's Mr. Beer's affidavit, which is 121 and 122, Chairperson.
no problem with that?
No, Chair, I reject this one.
Yes, just articulate your basis.
No, Chair, you recall there were three things I've said about the document. Firstly, that this statement was not meant for the commission. It was lifted from somewhere. Doesn't address the issues that we have there, unless if she does dispose of an affidavit. Secondly, you recall, Chair, I addressed the issue of the annexure, which I think that you dealt with.
Which has been found.
We
yeah.
just dealt with that. And also, Chair, I raised the issue that this property was, I think if I look at the second paragraph, was it the second paragraph? No, I
Third
think
paragraph. Which
The second paragraph, the third paragraph is the annexure.
Yeah.
The one where she says, I called on her people to inquire about the property. This property was on the market. It was well advertised, Chair, and there was a show house. So I think some of this, I think I wanted to file an affidavit precisely because she's got a lot of hearsay, which are not. She only interacted with Ms. De Beer towards the end. And this affidavit doesn't speak to that. It speaks to the Siangena matter, Chair, in
Yes.
court.
Okay, no, let's hang on. Is your objection to this sworn statement by Mr. Beer simply that you believe that its contents are not true, or some of its contents are not true?
So I think some of the contents are not true.
Yeah.
And the commission at least.
And you say you object because it's not an affidavit that was made to the commission. It's an affidavit made for another purpose.
Yes. And now
Okay.
the commission, because she didn't file an affidavit here, Chair,
Yeah,
the commission, when I raised my objection,
Yeah.
was placing reliance on a document that is not meant for here.
Yeah.
It makes certain statements about me.
yeah,
I can't call Mrs. De Beer
yeah,
to come here and say, I need to question her, Chair, about these things that you say.
yes.
Yeah.
Just hang on one second. Didn't Mr. Beer come
She
here
did come.
and testified? And she confirmed this affidavit. That should cover it, Mr. Montana. Or let me explain. You remember I said earlier on, once the commission is aware that somebody is in possession of information that may help it in its investigation, it can obtain that information. So even if this sworn statement was made to whoever, whether the Hawks or Versmans or whoever, if the commission became aware of it and it thought that it might assist in its investigation, it could obtain it. Now, it may be that in regard to some documents, you say, well, this person was not called here to give evidence, and maybe we can put that aside for now, a situation where somebody did not come and testify. But where somebody did come and testify, you would have, if you were given, and I assume you were given, a 3-3 notice in regard to her affidavit, you would have been entitled to apply for leave to cross-examine her, and she could have been called back to face cross-examination.
No, Chair, I accept fully.
You accept that, yeah.
Except one thing, Chair, that one of the things I raised was that these statements, these sworn statements, for that particular case, were even obtained through illegal means.
Okay.
And I'm saying, Chair, that it's
Yeah.
one issue.
That is
because
the duress or
that I raised,
intimidation you
and that is
talked
why the
about.
commission, from a quality point of view,
Yeah,
so you place reliance on a document.
Yeah.
Some of the stories that are being said
Yeah.
in here, Chair. So I think, Chair, that I'm saying, if she even if it's a one-page confirmatory affidavit from her, to say I confirm that's my statement, and that I can have recourse on the Chair if I choose. I'm not saying I will.
yeah,
Depending on how this whole matter unfolds, if I decide to exercise my rights, I should be able to, Chair.
yes, no, okay. I think in regard to that, once she came and under oath said she confirms this, there is no need for her to do an affidavit because she has confirmed it under oath.
Okay, Chair.
So, but what you are free to do is to look at the contents and point out what you believe are flaws or what is untrue, that you will be free to do. But I don't think that just because there is no affidavit from her saying this is true would be a ground to object. But with regard to what you say, namely that on the information you have, some of the people were intimidated or pressurized. There is no problem with you if you have got personal knowledge of that, giving evidence about how those affidavits were or documents were obtained, or calling somebody to testify to that. But that's different from anything else. So I think that looking at what you're articulating, you shouldn't have a problem with it being here, but you can say, as far as it may have been obtained illegally, I maintain that, and I will lead evidence if I choose to.
No, I accept your guidance, Chair.
You accept? Okay, all right. Okay. Mr. Soni?
Then the next document, Chairperson, is a deed of sale relating to the waterproof property between Karen de Beer and
Maybe,
Mr.
Mr. Soni, it will help if you start with the page.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
and then you tell us what the document
Sorry.
is, yeah.
It's page 128, and it goes until the affidavit, the agreement itself goes up to page 130,
Yes,
and that's an agreement of sale in regard to this property, which didn't eventuate.
yeah, it seems to have Annexure B, is that right?
That is so, Chair.
Does it not have Annexure A, does it only have B?
Can I draw your attention to something, Chair? The document 128, I accept it, Chair.
Yeah,
I accept that, Chair. And
Yeah.
I think that it goes to 132,
122,
if I'm right, Chair.
okay.
I think Annexure A.
I'm
No,
sorry,
Chair.
well, it starts at 128, so it can't go to
128,
122. 132, you mean?
132, Chair.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, no, that's
Yes.
fine. Mr. Soni?
Then there's, at page 130, 131 is Annexure B to that.
133, you mean?
So 131 to 132, Chairperson.
No, he said he has no problem with it.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have
Yeah.
a problem.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So we are at 133 now.
133, Chairperson, and 134 is an email that Ms. De Beer sent to neighbors after she handed the keys to Mr. Montana.
That's fine. Even if you don't explain, he already knows which ones he has a problem with. Have you got
No,
any
no.
problem with it too?
Chair, in fact, I won't object, I'm happy with it.
You are happy with
Let's
this?
proceed with that.
Okay.
But let me make one quick point, Chair. This document and the affidavit, you can see that Ms. De Beer, she believed that she had entered into a property transaction with me, even though in one of the emails, that she uses beautiful words. I would like to inform you that I've sold my house to Mr. Lucky Montana, current CEO of PRASA. He's a very nice gentleman and would take full responsibility of the property. He goes on to say that. Now let's go back to this affidavit.
You of course not objecting to being referred to as a nice gentleman.
Well, Chair, but you can see that these are two worlds, isn't it? The same person, he says, and this wonderful gentleman tells the neighbors, okay?
Yeah.
But you can see, Chair, that she also doesn't have factual understanding of the issues, because I'm saying her own sworn statement or affidavit. You can see, because she only met me once.
Yeah.
It's based on hearsay.
Yeah.
What I'm simply saying is that when I take this issue on at a
Yeah.
later stage,
Yeah.
I'm going to demonstrate that we are dealing with two.
Yeah.
It's either we're going to deal with one person with two characters.
Yeah.
There
No,
it is, Chair. I'm a nice
that's
guy,
fine. You
and
have
then
no
I'm a criminal on the other one.
Yes. Okay, you have no problem. Then the next one is page 135. Mr. Soni?
135.
Those are notes again.
Chair, you get the notes, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Those are notes. They go up to what?
They go up to page 143. Chair.
143.
Yes.
Yeah, he objects to the notes.
Yes.
And then there is the sworn statement. Continue, Mr. Soni.
Yes, sorry, Chairperson. Page 144 and 145 is the statement of Mr. Green.
You have no problem with that?
No, I don't have, Chair.
Yeah. With regard to Mr. Green,
He also
Mr. Soni.
testified. Chair. He also testified.
Yes, I know, I remember he did testify. Mr. Montana has mentioned him, I think, yesterday, twice, if I'm not mistaken, and I forgot to say this. I'm under the impression that he is the witness who left on the basis that he should still come back to clarify something. Will your team just check?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Check
that,
the transcript.
so that if there was something that he was meant to come back and clarify, it's not left hanging.
Yes.
I seem to think that as we were finishing, we talked on the basis that he would still come back at some stage.
Chairperson, maybe, and this is not to say we won't do that. Mr. Green, when I met him on the day he gave evidence, he told me that he had been suffering from cancer for some period and could not remember things.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
but
No,
that
no,
doesn't mean we won't, but I'm just
That's
placing it
fine.
on record
Yeah.
so that we know that
No,
that is a possibility.
No, that's fine.
He's the man who told you, Chair, that what Mr. Montana is doing is not unusual
Yeah.
in the property market.
Yes. No, that's fine. So let's check, simply because we shouldn't have a situation where something was left hanging and we don't follow up. Okay, all right.
Then page 146, Chairperson, is an email from Mr. Green to obviously his firm, but in relation to the agreement that.
Well,
Mr.
the
Montana
one
signed.
at 146 is empty, or is it? Or what is 146?
It's an
140
email from Mr. Green.
Or does it go to 147?
Yes,
Oh, okay. From Mr. Green to who?
to his firm, Chairperson, saying that he's attaching the document, the
Okay,
agreement that had been entered into.
okay. Does he attach?
He doesn't attach the agreement, Chair.
Okay.
But
So
I think it's
that,
referring to the deeds of sale.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
that annex, that email you have no problem with?
No, Chair, I don't.
No problem. Mr.
And
Soni?
then page 147 is a second email from him, which deals with a letter seemingly sent by Mr. van der Walt.
No problem, Mr. Montana?
No, no, Chair. I
Yeah,
don't have.
okay.
Now,
148,
148 is a repetition of what was 146 as well.
then there's no objection.
Yes.
No, no objection, Chair.
Yeah. And then 149
114,
is crossed out. Oh, what is the story?
oh, sorry, 149 is the same thing as 146, Chair.
Okay, all right.
And then
150,
150 is from Mr. van der Walt to Mr. Green.
no problem with
Confirmation of
that,
payment.
Mr. Montana?
No objection, Chair.
No problem, yeah.
And then page
151.
151 is the bank letter confirming the payment that is referred to on page 150.
No problem with that?
No, no problem, Chair.
No problem. Okay,
Then 152, Chairperson, is the agreement between Mr. Kohler and Mr. van der Walt.
152 to what page?
155,
Okay, that's offer to purchase, which was accepted. So,
yes.
okay, no problem with that, Mr. Montana?
No, not at all, Chair.
No problem, okay. 156,
What 156 is merely the certificate by the CIPC.
okay, no problem with that,
No problem, Chair.
okay.
And then page 157, Chairperson, or from 157, but we'll just deal with each one, are emails by the sellers to Mr. Montana, Mr. Green, and other people associated with the property.
No problem,
No problem, Chair.
okay.
158 is a continuation of that email. 159 is an email relating to a progress report sent to various people, including Mr. Montana.
No, no problem with that,
No objection, Chair.
okay.
160 is the rate clearance figures.
No problem,
No problem, Chair.
161 is the electrical compliance certificate.
no problem.
160?
161, yeah. No problem,
Then 162 is the account by the attorneys who did the transfer. The
no
conveyance
problem.
attorneys. It's an account sent to Precise Trade.
I think Mr. Montana is looking at it.
I'm looking, Chair, sorry, at this is 163.
162.
160, okay, 162, Chair. Yes, no, I'm happy with that, Chair.
Okay, then 163,
I'm happy with that, Chair.
okay.
164 is a further email from
Well,
Mr. Green.
Maybe Mr. Soni, even if you don't say who it is from, he knows them. He'll just say no objection.
Yes.
Until we come to where he has an objection.
As you please.
If you just mention the page. 164, there's no objection, Mr. Montana.
No, Chair, no objections.
165
No
seems
objection.
to
No objection. 166,
No objection, Chair.
167,
No objection, Chair.
168,
No objection, Chair.
169,
No,
up to
I think that document goes further, Chair.
Up to 179, Chair.
up to 179. Is that fine, Mr. Montana? Up to 179?
Yeah, I think until, in fact, until, I don't have a problem until 187.
Until 187?
Yes, I think. so
Okay.
Just for check, yeah. Yes, Chair, but I've got one, okay, until 17, but there's something, I think the pages do not follow each other, Chair. I don't know, after 187, until 187, I don't have an objection, Chair.
Until
87,
you have no problem?
I don't have an objection, Chair.
Okay.
And then there's,
Until 187. And
there's a page which I don't believe
Yeah.
belongs there, Chair.
the pages then skip from 187 to 193.
Yes.
Is there something?
It
Missing in
seems as if
between.
things were put in that didn't belong to this chairperson when the photostatting has been done.
I think what should, if that is the case, a page should be put in here with a note to
So-
alert whoever is going
No,
through
you're
this.
quite right, Chair. Mine has that, I don't know why it's not. in
Mine
yours.
doesn't have.
Yes.
Yours, Mr. Montana, doesn't have any note
Well,
saying,
Chair, I'm shocked with this document.
yeah,
These things here, you know, sometimes we say God works in mysterious ways.
yeah.
This document, Chair, you see, and I think it comes from Werksman's
Which
report.
document are you looking at?
The one, Chair, after 187, after, you remember I accepted 187?
Yeah,
Then there is this document, which I don't think it belongs here, Chair.
the 193.
Is it 193? No, it's not.
My next document is page 193.
No, Chair, you don't have.
I think it's the
before-
note, it's notes, I think.
There's a document, Chair, talking about Dr. Daniel Timkulu, Joseph Pongula, Mr. Montana.
What page is it marked? What is the page number?
I don't think it belongs here. It doesn't fall in that number. It's written
Oh,
S4. I think it belongs to a different document.
oh, okay.
But you know what it is, Chair?
Uh-huh,
It is a document from Werksman.
yeah,
There are allegations that they were making on some of the memorandums that were prepared. So these are part of the documents that are being lifted.
has it got a heading?
Chair, it doesn't even have a heading. It starts with Dr. Timkulu confirmed unreservedly.
Does it look like it's a continuation from another
No, it's not a
page?
continuation, Chair.
Or is it one page,
yes.
half a page?
Chair, it doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
I don't think it belongs here.
Yes.
But I'm just simply saying that we should take it out, Chair.
Yes,
But Unkulunkulu is showing me
yeah,
what is happening here, Chair.
yes. Can I see that page? She will take it. Oh, is my registrar.
In my annexures on Werksman, you'll find this particular document, Chair.
Okay. Okay, it's a document, it's a page that is marked 11 at the bottom to indicate that it's page 11 of a document. At the top, there is paragraph 5.6.3. It says Dr. Mtimkulu confirmed unreservedly that the amount of 17,628,118 rand, 59 cents is due and payable in terms of the above two contracts because the company had successfully executed the material management program and the data cleansing program. It's written by Neil Commissioner. I'm sure Mr. Soni would like to see it.
I'd like to see it, but I don't know what it is about.
Yeah,
It
okay.
certainly is not
Okay.
belonging in here.
Yeah, it does say PRASA. There is a, at the top.
Yes. Oh,
So you'll see my annexures
Yeah,
on the various documents that were prepared, and I've annexed them to my affidavit. It deals, this page comes from that document, and I know all the affidavits that on the PRASA matter, and the Rule 3.3 notice is given to me. These documents were not tabled before this commission, Chair. So, Chair, you'll understand why I feel so aggrieved and unhappy.
Yeah.
Because I see these things, documents that belong somewhere coming into here. But for now, Chair, for us to move forward, I'm just saying that, God is kind, Chair. Uyakubonisa uNkulunkulu to see what's happening. But I don't want to do that. Ngiyambonga uNkulunkulu, Chairperson. So we can, I think, Chair, we can proceed
that's fine.
to the next one, 193.
yes. So is it
I'm told that it belongs to another file. Chair.
to another file?
It
Another
seems to
PRASA
be
file?
SS4, yes.
Yes. Okay, all right. Okay. But then there should be a note here that a page that
Chairperson, may
explains.
I give you mine?
Jump.
I won't need it. It says exactly what it is from
Yes,
page 188
to
to
192.
192.
Okay, that's fine.
It just says
Yeah,
blank pages, non-relevant pages.
okay.
Chairperson,
So it says blank page, non-relevant pages removed.
yes.
Okay, it's a few pages saying that. Okay. All right, let's continue.
The next document, Chairperson, is OR, Annexure OR4, and that's from page 193 to 198. That's, again, a commentary
Those are
on the
our
annexure.
notes.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Montana has problems with
Yes.
notes. You confirm
193,
that?
Chair, I do not accept, I reject, Chair.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Then,
Let's continue.
Chairperson, 199 to 205 is an affidavit from the transferring attorney in the Hurlingham property.
Okay. Any objection to that?
No objection to that, Chair.
Sorry?
No objection.
No objection, okay. All right.
Then page 206 to 209 is the offer to purchase made by Mr. Montana to the owner of Montrose
No,
Avenue.
no objection?
No, that's correct, Chair. No
Okay.
objection.
Then page 210 is a confirmation from Investec Bank that Midtown Brace had paid 11.5 million rand to the account of the transferring attorney who filed that up.
Is that a one page or?
Page 210, it's just one page.
Oh, no objection?
I'm happy with
You
it.
are happy with that, okay?
Then page 211, Chairperson, is confirmation that the transfer had been registered in the deeds office on that day.
No objection?
I'm happy, Chair, with it.
Okay.
Page 212 to 215 is an offer to purchase from Mr. Smith on behalf of the Minor Property Trust to the owner of 12 Montrose Avenue.
No objection?
No, Chair, no objection at all.
Okay.
Page 216 is a letter from Mr. Smith to other people in his agency, Mr.
From
Green.
Mr. Louis Green.
Mr. Green, confirming that an offer had been received from Mr. Montana.
No objection?
No, not at all, Chair.
Then page 217 is 2 emails sent by seemingly the secretary of the trustee to Mr. Green and CC to Mr. Montana.
No objection?
No objection, Chair.
Okay.
Then page 218 to 223 is an offer to purchase made on behalf of the Minor Property Trust.
No objection?
No objection, Chair.
You said up to what page, Mr.?
Oh, sorry, page 222, Chairperson. Page 221, and then page 222 is the minutes of the trust confirming that Mr. Smith had been authorized to make the offer.
Okay. And then,
Page 223 to 226 is a further offer to purchase made by Mr. Montana.
no objection?
This is,
223 to
223 to
226.
226.
I thought, Chair, the,
Offer to purchase. I don't think you will have any objection.
oh, no,
to-
Chair, I don't have an objection, Chair. I was confusing it with another document.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And then page 227 is confirmation by Investec Bank that payment had been made to the trust account of the transferring attorney by Precise.
That's
No
a two-
objection.
That's a 2 million, isn't it?
Sorry, for 2 million.
For 2 million.
No
I'm
objection?
I'm happy with that, Chair.
Yeah. Okay.
Then page 228 is a letter relating to an offer to purchase made by Mr. van der Walt.
No objection?
No, I'm happy, Chair.
And then page 281 is a further letter from Mr. van
I'm
der
sorry,
Walt.
you said
Sorry.
231, what about 230? Is 230 part of what we have dealt with?
Page 230 is seemingly part of the letter from Mr. van der Walt.
Oh, okay. Okay. 231?
231, Chairperson, is a further letter from Mr. van der Walt to the transferring attorney asking for more time,
That's 231 to 233.
as you please.
No
Chairperson.
objection? Eh?
No objection, Chair.
233, yes.
Yeah. 234?
234 is a letter from the transferring attorney to
well,
Mr. van der Walt.
Even if you don't say, he has seen it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 234 to 236, you have no objection?
No objection, Chair.
Yeah. Okay,
And then
237,
237 is an email from Mr. van der Walt to the attorney.
yeah. Okay, no objection.
No objection, Chair.
And then 238 deals with, again, the transfer, a letter from Mr. van der Walt to the attorney.
238 to 240,
241.
you have no problem.
No problem, Chair.
Oh, sorry, 240, yes.
240. 241. 241 is, have you got no objection to that?
No, Chair. In
Yeah.
fact, I think when I look back, Chair, go back,
Yeah,
I think, Chair, when you look back, when we move forward, all the other documents that remain in the Chair are acceptable to me.
The ones that are remaining.
The ones that are remaining until the last page.
Yeah,
Page 315, I think.
315.
317 rather, Chair.
Yeah,
317,
they are acceptable.
yes, Chair.
Okay, okay, all right. So the ones that have been identified as objectionable, if I recall correctly, is the preliminary report and the notes. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Yeah.
You can see, Chair,
They are different notes, but all the
there are
notes.
different notes, Chair.
Yeah.
And all of them are moving from, and that is why
Yeah.
we are left with one issue, Chair.
Yes,
We are in
yes,
agreement on all these documents that are
yes.
here.
It's just the notes.
The notes are written on the basis, on the premise
Yeah,
that these properties were funded by TTM. And I'm
Okay.
saying that's false. And I'm surprised, Chair, by the way, they didn't make this point. The evidence, I'm actually surprised, Chair. Because some of these documents that now we've gone through, they confirm a completely different version. For example, the Investec account of 2 million, they confirm the true story. The letter from Mr. Van der Waal to Mr. Bredenkamp, the attorneys, it actually says, I'm under instruction, the instruction of my client to do the following things. Now, if that is the case, why would, for example, the commission then ignore those things and write the kind of notes that has been written? That is at the heart of my story, Chair. And I think because there's no objection, we are not fighting over this one. We then must get, Chair, to the heart of this issue.
no, no,
Who
no.
funded these properties? And we resolve this issue once and for all today, so that when we all live here, we know that Mr. Montana was bribed, was involved in corruption, or these properties were funded. And Chair, I'm here to deal with this issue now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So the one thing at least that is clear is there is no objection to any documents other than the preliminary report and the notes.
Yes.
Now, my understanding of the attitude you took yesterday, Mr. Soni, is that you were quite happy to leave aside the preliminary reports
Yes.
for purposes of this.
Of putting things on record.
Yeah, okay. Now, what do you say about the notes? The objection to the notes? And I think the objection is really that you were saying, well, you were saying that the notes are have a certain basis, and you say, if there was somebody who comes and testifies or deposes to an affidavit and says what is said in the notes, then you would have your opportunity to apply to cross-examine them and so on. Is that correct?
Chair, you remember when I objected? The fundamental issue has to do with how these things are funded.
Yeah,
And the notes
yeah,
which informed Mr. Soni's thing
yeah,
was that this, in fact, we know this has been funded by
yeah,
TTM,
yeah,
TTM Chair, or Strokes Yangena.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm saying, Chair, that with all the evidence we have dealt with,
yeah,
but the notes that have been written,
yeah, you are happy to deal with.
the evidence points
Yeah,
that here's a company called Precise.
yeah,
It has got all of these activities and all these investors and everything. Okay? Now, the notes ignore all of that evidence. Even in that statement, there's almost 40 million in that statement.
yeah,
It then wants to extract, not even based on the statement, on the notes. Actually, one of the notes says, Mr. Van der Waal says that property was funded by TTM. Chair, Mr. Van der Waal doesn't say that, Chair.
let's pause there. Do you need the notes for
We don't need the
purposes?
notes, Chair.
So-
It's inferences to be drawn from the
Yeah.
document.
So the they can be pulled out, they can be ignored.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But Chair, you get the principle of what I say. It's easy to say we can ignore them,
Yes,
but I'm saying, Chair,
yeah. But you are, if I understand you correctly, you are saying these notes paint a certain picture or are based on certain information. Actually, you would be happy if they were not here. So from what Mr. Soni is saying, he seems to say, well, actually, if the notes are creating a problem, they can be taken out. Is that?
Absolutely, Chair.
Yes, they can be taken out and then we continue. We can put questions to you based on the documents that you have no objection to.
Chair, I'm not asking for a concession on this issue.
Yeah,
Whether the documents are withdrawn or not. Chair, you have said that the next few days you want to focus on this property issue. In the minds of the nation, the issue is the properties have been bought and they're interested in their public entity, PRASA. That if a former CEO is involved in corruption, it's a big problem. And they've got the legitimate right. And we know that reports have been made, statements have been made, that no, these things have been paid for by TMM and Siangena. Okay? The commission repeats that. Chair. Now, I've dealt with the procedural part, which is the fact that who must do that, the commission must not enter the terrain or the arena and all of those things, Chair. And you can hear, Chair, that I spoke to lawyers who were briefing me. That is why some of the language...
or maybe you did Introduction to Law 101.
Crash course.
Admissibility of evidence.
Yes, Chair. Now, Chair, my objection, in a way, forced us to come to the central issue of all this, why we're dealing with these properties.
Yes.
Who paid and the selection of documents, Chair, the way they've been lined up. Okay? You know, some of the documents that I said, if Mr. Soni were to go back or the legal team were
No, but I understand what you're saying, Mr. Montana, but what Mr. Soni's position is, and he is going to tell me if I misunderstand his position. He is taking the position that says, these notes, it's not really so important that they be here. My understanding of them was that they were for convenience. That was my understanding of them. If you have an objection to them, he is happy that they be taken out. And then we proceed, we proceed from there. So I don't expect you to be aggrieved with that because you're objecting to them. So if he says, look, let's take them out and let's continue, then there should be no problem.
Chair, you see, part of the problem we are dealing with, I'm a fundamentalist, Chair, in the true sense of the word. I go for maximum things. But this is not about that. It's even about the soft principle. I'm saying that a statement was made, Chair, and I need to ask, perhaps I should ask, I know I'm here to answer questions. Let me ask the question through you, Chair. That withdrawn is fine. I think that they show the biasness and everything, Chair. They're trying to direct this thing at a particular issue. But the fundamental issue that made me fight, Chair, was when in those statements the commission or those notes say, and this was when, of course, Mr. Soni was making the statement that we know. Now, I want to be told. I don't want to be taken on a journey, Chair, when I see where this journey is going to. And I want to cut the chase, Chair. The best of cutting the chase, let's say it. Does this commission, does Mr. Soni, as he's standing there, can tell this commission with certainty that TMM or Siangena paid for the properties? Now, these are not, there are two types of properties, Chair.
Hang on,
my
hang on,
properties
hang on.
and Mr. Chair. I
Hang
want to
on,
go to that
hang
issue,
on.
Chair.
You see, when Mr. Soni says these notes can be taken out, it doesn't prevent that issue being dealt with, whether immediately or in due course. It doesn't prevent, it's not like that issue that you think you say is fundamental, it's not put under the carpet. All it means is, at least as far as you had raised an objection to certain documents, that objection then falls away once these notes have been taken out. Then we can proceed.
Yes, Chair, but
You
I think
agree?
the moment of truth has arrived, Chair. For
Yeah,
me,
okay, all
for
right.
everyone, and I think let's confront it.
No, that's fine. Mr. Soni, I suggest that they be taken out for purposes of progress.
Yes, no, I've
Is
got
that
no
right?
difficulty.
And where they were, pages can be put in that says what was taken out.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, why don't we practically do that, then we proceed. The first ones are from what page to what page?
They are from 1 to 33, Chairperson.
Sorry?
Page 1 to 33.
Well, there's the preliminary report.
Yes.
Well, there is the index, and then the preliminary report starts at page 3, is that right?
Chairperson, as I understand it, Mr. Montana also objects to the main report.
Where is the
which
main
starts
report?
at 4 which starts at page 4 and goes up to page 33.
Well, page 3 says preliminary report.
Yes.
Is page 4 not part of the preliminary report?
Yes.
Yes, but you just said I thought you said permanent or final report.
No, I said he seems to object to the whole part of that part of the report.
Well, he objects to the whole preliminary report.
Yes.
Indeed, Chair.
Yes. And the preliminary report starts at page 3. Is
Yes.
that right? And it goes up to what page?
Up to page 33.
Up to page 33. Okay, so, okay, that we take out, and then the notes, what, page 34?
Page 34 to 39.
Okay. Because your position is that these don't make a difference to
To the
To the
evidence that
issues.
you need to hear to.
yeah, okay.
Then 98 to 104.
Yes,
Then 135 to 143.
yes,
And then 193 to 198.
those were the last notes.
As you please.
Okay, I think we have covered them.
There's one issue outstanding, Chair.
Yeah,
The issue about I thought we said we found also, in addition to the letter, the annexure, we also find the affidavit from.
the affidavit. Can I see the affidavit? And Mr. Montana can be given a copy.
Yes.
And did you get a chance to read the affidavit, Mr. Sonny, to see whether it says what Mr. Montana says it
So
says?
I can take, just to save time.
Well, what you have got is, excuse me, is an application brought by Siangena Technologies Pty Limited as first applicant, TMM Holdings Pty Limited as second applicant, and MJA Ferreira as third applicant in terms of Rule 3.4 and 11.1 of the Rules of the Commission of Inquiry. They asked for leave to cross-examine Mr. Orman in relation to the contents of his affidavits and versions and reports with reference to the subject matter of the relationship and or alleged relationship between the applicants and PRASA and or the applicants and Mr. Lucky Montana's involvement in alleged property transactions and the relationship between the applicants and Attorney Rian van der Waals and or alleged payments directly or indirectly from the applicants to van der Waals and or precise trade and or Lucky Montana. Rule 2, prayer 2 is Rule 11.1 for the hearing of any further evidence implicating the applicants regarding or in connection with matters pertaining to or concurrent with the facts in the High Court application under case number that be heard in camera, alternatively be postponed until such time that the applicants have been granted consent to cross-examine any such witnesses implicating the applicants on such allegations. Okay, so that was an application for leave to cross-examine as well as an application for the postponement of for the hearing of evidence implicating the applicants to be heard in camera, alternatively to be postponed until such time as the applicants had cross-examined certain witnesses. Okay, now that application, that's a notice of motion and the affidavit, it's accompanied by an affidavit by Mr. Thomas Andreas Dubeck. Have you had a chance to check whether the affidavit says what Mr. Montana says?
Chairperson, I can only refer to what I think the relevant parts of the affidavit are.
Yeah.
And I think it starts at page 30, the red numbers 30, and at paragraph 69 at the bottom of that page.
Yes.
It says, I turn now to deal, or perhaps you should read it, Chairperson, for
Yeah.
yourself, and then,
Yes, you can read it, yeah.
and perhaps Mr. Montana.
I thought you were going to read it, Mr.
Oh, shall I?
I think you were
Okay,
offering,
sorry.
I thought you were offering to read it.
I turn now to deal with the report of Mr. Clinton Holloman and the evidence he will probably lead on the 2nd of July 2020 and reasons for cross-examining Mr. Alleman. Paragraph 70, despite neither of the first two applicants receiving any notice from the Commission's legal team, and I submit that both first and second applicants were entitled to a notice, the applicants applied for cross-examination of Mr. Alleman's evidence as it is envisaged to be led at present on the following basis. 70.1, Mr. Alleman does not contextualize, at least within reasonable measures, his report. 70.2, Mr. Alleman fails to report that Siangena commenced the execution of Phase 1 ISMS several years prior to the date on which he commences with his report. 70.3, Mr. Alleman fails to explain in any way whatsoever what the benefit for Mr. Montana was or would have been with regards to 70.3.1, the Waterkloof property, 70.3.2, the Sandhurst property.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sonny. The only reason I was asking for that part is simply to see whether it could be the affidavit that Mr. Montana was talking about. Would you know, Mr. Montana, whether this is the affidavit you are referring to?
Yes, Chair, and I want to read I think that, Chair, is
The part about payment.
from page 27 of that affidavit, Chair.
Yeah.
I
I don't want you to read the whole thing. I just
Yes.
want the
Chair,
parts there. If there is a part that says they never paid or what.
Yes, Chair, I just picked it up, I just lost it again as you spoke to me, Chair. And I wanted to read that part,
Yeah.
where he says, sorry, Chair, quickly, let me find it again quickly. Where he says, I'm the CFO of this company, and that we've never made, I'll find it,
That
Chair.
would be at the beginning.
No, towards the end, Chair.
Towards the end.
Towards the end, I think from page 25. I'll just find it again, Chair, I just picked it up. So it starts in fact from page 27, and it goes, for example, Chair, to page 28, and in 70.9.1 in page 28, the Mr. Tom, the deponent Andres Dubek says 70.9.1. Chair, can you see that?
Yes, I can see that.
He says, none of the payments mentioned in the report of Mr. Alleman were made from a TMM bank account. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of TMM and Siangena, and I can confirm the aforesaid, and I will put Mr. Alleman to the proof thereof if and when allowed an opportunity to do so. Now, Chair, the bank account from which the TMM payments, and they put it in quote, were made is not a bank account opened by TMM or any of its officials or any of its employees. In fact, it seems as if it was, and I think, Chair, it seems as if it was a cash money market account opened for and on behalf of Lobster van der Walt, attorneys at Investec Bank. To illustrate the aforesaid, I append here to marked annexure TD22, a copy of what seems to be a printout of a bank statement reflecting TMM payments. And Chair, it continues, Chair. So,
Yeah, that's the part you were talking about.
so that's the part I'm talking about, Chair.
Yeah.
And now, if this affidavit, Chair, I'm saying,
Yeah.
if this affidavit was before the commission, and Mr. Soni said what he said, then we're left with one question, Chair. Let's put the bank account, not the notes, because currently the noise is about the notes written TMM.
Yeah.
The TMM and Siangena, we never paid
Yeah.
precise trade this amount.
Yeah.
It seems we are dealing with notes on a money account. Let us put it on the table, Chair, and deal with the matter.
Yeah.
So I think, Chair, I don't know, because this was an application to you, Chair.
Yeah, this was an application
Yes,
which was brought by.
Exactly, Chair.
by-
But you
by
can see,
them.
Chair, considering,
But what they are saying is relevant. Yeah.
Chair, well, it's actually profound, because it changes the foundation from which I've been sitting here for the past 2 days answering questions about my properties. Because I'm here to answer and grill that the TMM and Siang, I've said, I paid for my properties, and for those that I owned, and I've entered into partnership, and they say the money comes from TMM, where I've entered into partnership, and where Rian van der Walt bought his own properties, they say it came from TMM.
Yeah.
Now, here's a CFO chair under oath. He's saying, no, we've never made such a payment.
Yeah.
Now, if this affidavit has been with the commission since July 2020, so there's no way in which, why it was not shared with me, number one. And number two, it wouldn't have been possible that for Mr. Sony and the commission not to be aware of this important thing. Unless if they've got evidence and say, we've got the account from TMM. It contradicts what you are saying. Then we've got a story chain.
No. What I can tell you, Mr. Montana, is that the file that has been given here to me has got my notes, because this was an application by these entities, plus Mr. Ferreira, for leave to cross-examine Mr. Oleman, which I made in February, early in February this year. I don't know whether that means that's when I don't think that's when I became aware of it for the first time. I may have become aware before then, I'm not sure, but at least I've got notes that I made on that date. This was an application by the two entities and Mr. Ferreira for leave to cross-examine Mr. Oleman on his report. Now, of course, 3 notices would be given to you if a certain person implicates you in his statement. Of course, they don't implicate you in their statement. But of course, what they do say there is important. And Mr. Soni, do you want to say anything about it?
Chairperson, what one needs to do is see what else they say about the source of funds in that affidavit.
Yeah.
Because, Chairperson, you will recall that in answer to this, the Commission's legal team filed an answering affidavit to say why leave to cross-examine ought not to be given. But let me, though I'm just saying that I'm aware of that, but let me just say what...
They file a replying affidavit or after that, or do you know?
To the best of my knowledge, I've not seen one,
Yeah,
Chairperson.
okay.
But Chair...
Let him finish.
Sorry.
So, in regard to the funds for this, they say, I was reading about paragraph 70, and if I could just say at 70.6, it is said, it seems as if Mr. Oleman suggests that TMM, the second applicant, made direct payments to Precise Trade. Now, I'm emphasizing direct, it's not emphasized.
What paragraph?
Paragraph 70.6.
Okay. Yes.
Made direct payments to Precise Trade and Invest O2 Proprietary Limited, and or, for instance, transferring attorneys Borchard and Hansen from time to time. Mr. Oleman suggests that the aforesaid payments by TMM coincide with certain payments to and from Precise Trade and Investec O2 Proprietary Limited. That's, of course, the transactional account that we've been referring to. There's nowhere in his report, his affidavit, or any of the further documents did Mr. Oleman fact-check the so-called source of the payment reference as TMM payments. And that's referenced by Mr. van der Walt in that bank account. Then they say, and this is the crucial part, with a little effort, Mr. Oleman would have been able to establish the following. None of the payments mentioned in the report of Mr. Oleman were made from a TMM bank account. I am the CFO of TMM and Siangena, and I can confirm the aforesaid, and I will put Mr. Alleman to the proof thereof if and when allowed an opportunity to do so. Then 70.9.2, the bank account from which TMM payments were made, and they put TMM in inverted commas, meaning the payments referred to by Mr. van der Walt in his notes. It says, were made is not a bank account opened by TMM or any of its officials or any of its employees. In fact, it seems as if it was a cash money market account opened for and on behalf of Loopse van der Walt at Investec Bank. And then they attach that. Then they continue. With reference to the affidavit of Mr. Loopse, Mr. Alleman relies further on handwritten notes on Investec Bank account statements for precise trade, and they attach it. Assuming that payments into the aforesaid account came from TMM, Mr. Alleman in his report suggests that payments were made by the applicants for the benefit of precise trade. Where Mr. Alleman's assumption is inaccurate and misplaced is where he failed to investigate the source of the payments. TMM Holdings held an account with ABSA, not Investec Bank. The Investec Bank from which payments were apparently made was an Investec Bank opened by Loopse van der Walt with client name TMM Holdings Proprietary Limited, as is evident from Annexure TD 24. Loopse van der Walt, Mr. van der Walt, informed TMM, that's myself and Mr. Ferreira, on the 12th of March that the aforesaid bank account was opened in order to receive payments in terms of the agreements concluded with the applicants and payment made into the account where with specific reference to wetlands, Wakkerstroom Farm. Append hereto a copy of an email received from Mr. van der Walt. And that email says what they are saying. Then they say, 70.15, any payments made from the actual bank account of TMM to the aforesaid account were made in accordance with the agreement of Mr. van der Walt. Then they continue at 70.16. Mr. van der Walt had full control and exclusive access to the account opened in the name of Loopse van der Walt. The funds paid into the aforesaid account of Mr. van der Walt were paid for the reference project, and I can categorically state that applicants had no further control or access to the said account. Mr. Alleman did not request any applicants to address him on the aforesaid structure, and I submit that, as a consequence, his provisional reports are misleading, inaccurate, and factually flawed. Says, Mr. Alleman implicates the applicants with nuances, suggestions, and unfounded assumptions of wrongdoing. The applicants were not allowed an opportunity to address Mr. Alleman, while the applicants believe Mr. Alleman had an obligation to investigate the matter properly. Now, Chairperson, I just want to point this out because we, earlier in the affidavit, and remember this is an application to cross-examine, Mr. Dubek says that the purpose of the affidavit is for them to acquire a the reason for the delay is so that they can appoint a forensic investigator who can present a report. This affidavit, Chairperson, is in July 2020. What you do not find in this affidavit is how much they paid into Mr. van der Walt's account, whether they made any inquiries from Mr. van der Walt as to the allegations made by Mr. Alleman, and what the results of the forensic investigations are that they conduct. But perhaps most importantly, Chairperson, they don't tell you how much TMM Holdings, that's Mr. Ferreira's company, paid into Mr. van der Waalt's TMM account.
Well, two aspects that seem to come out of the paragraphs that you have read, or three. One is that they say in the paragraph that Mr. Montana read, that is 70.9.1, none of the payments mentioned in the report of Mr. Oleman were made from a TMM bank account. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of TMM and Siangena, and I can confirm the aforesaid, and I would put Mr. Oleman to the proof thereof if and when allowed an opportunity. So he's saying, in other words, whatever payments are mentioned in that report, in Mr. Oleman's report, those payments did not come from a TMM bank account. That's point one. Point two, he says at 70.9.2, the bank account from which the TMM payments were made is not a bank account opened by TMM or any of its officials or any of its employees. It is, in fact, it seems as if it was a cash money market account opened for on behalf of Loubser van der Walt attorneys at Investec Bank. And then later he says at 70.18, paragraph 70.13, the Investec account from which payments were apparently made was an Investec account opened with Loubser van der Walt Incorporated with client name TMM Holdings Pty Ltd, as is evident from Annexure TD 24 appended here. Okay, so there is some TMM Holdings mentioned, and then he says at 70.14, Loubser van der Walt Incorporated, Mr. Rian van der Walt, informed TMM, in brackets myself and Mr. Mario Ferreira, on 12 March 2014, that the aforesaid account was opened in order to receive payments in terms of the agreements concluded with the applicants. So he is saying Mr. van der Walt told him and Ferreira that that account was opened in order to receive payments in terms of the agreements concluded with these applicants, namely Siangena, TMM Holdings, and Mr. Ferreira. And the payments made into the account were with specific reference to the wetlands Wagerstrom farm. And then he appends, okay, so he says that is what they were about. And then there is some part that is in Afrikaans there. Then in 70.15, paragraph 70.15, he says, any payments made from the actual bank account of TMM to the aforesaid account were made in accordance with the agreement with Mr. van der Walt. So based on that, it seems that he says there are payments made from TMM's actual bank account to this particular account, but he says they were in accordance with the agreement with Mr. van der Walt, which I think he must be meaning is the agreement concerning wetlands of Strong Farm. Okay, so based on that, there were some payments that he says came from TMM into that account. It's a question of what they were for. And then he says at paragraph 70.16, Mr. van der Walt had full control and exclusive access to the aforesaid account opened in the name of Loubser van der Walt Incorporated. This suggests that they did not have access to the account and the monies, but the TMM did make some payments into that account in accordance with the agreement with van der Walt. That's at least my understanding, and Mr. Montana will give his understanding. And then paragraph 70.17, he says the funds paid into the aforesaid account of van der Walt were paid for the reference project, and I can categorically state that the applicants had no further control over or access to the said account. So again, I guess the project is that wetlands stroke Wackerstrom farm. That would be my understanding. Okay, Mr. Soni, you wanted to say something in connection with what you read. I was just indicating what my impression was.
And that's exactly,
Yeah.
I submit, Chairperson, what a proper reading of the document, of the affidavit says.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the point I want to make, Chairperson, is that we know from what Mr. van der Walt says that he paid from the precise trade account. And when he reflected on the precise trade account, the debits, he made notes of that. And when he reflected the credits, he made notes of them. And we've been through some of them. I could just deal with the very first one on page 90, where he says the two credits on the 18th of June of 1.85 and 4 million came from TMM. That's what he says here. TMM does not dispute, because they've had this report with this, they do not dispute that those amounts were in fact paid into the TMM holdings account, from which clearly transfer was made to this account. What we have before us then, Chairperson, when we get to the nub of the matter, is that the funds that Mr. van der Walt says were provided by TMM, the loans that he talks about, that came into this account, were probably true, and I say that for two reasons. One is he says, here's my notes on what happened. TMM, Siangena, Mr. Dubek, and Mr. Ferreira all had an opportunity to say, but those payments don't accord with what we gave to him. They haven't done so, not even up to today. Now, here's serious allegations against them. They bring an application to say, we want the proceedings urgent. Our name is being besmirched. When they have an opportunity, they don't use it. They haven't used it up to today. I ask you to draw one inference from that. They don't have a proper answer to the inferences to be drawn.
Okay, no, that's all right. We are at 18 minutes to 5, and we obviously are not going to finish today. Mr. Montana, you want to say something, and then we will have to adjourn because we have run off of today's time. And then I've got to try and see what we need to do. But obviously also to the extent that some work connected with this need to be done, that may be done. But to the extent that Siangena had said they had initiated a forensic investigation, it would be interesting to see what they've got.
Absolutely.
Because they can just let the commission have the report of their investigation of these payments. Mr. Montana.
No, Chair. Chair, I think, I think Mr. Soni should recuse himself. I think I think that he has demonstrated signs of being biased, signs of being of having taken sides on these issues, and I think, Chair, see, I asked him a question he didn't want until this is read. I think that I would argue that he has actually shown. You see, he has withdrawn all those notes, and he's reading. I think that this report, you're not reading it properly, Chair. Let me first just quote two parts, Chair, because I think it's not in the interest of justice. Let me read first 7 and 8. In page, it's page 4, I think. Paragraph 7 and paragraph 8. Let me start there, Chair.
I'm sorry, you say page 4, it can't be page 4, I think.
Of
Page 4 of the
affidavit, Chair.
Oh, okay.
I think this is a standalone, it's not part of the...
Yes, okay. What paragraph?
Paragraph 7 and 8. Let me read that first, Chair, to go into this. It is submitted that fair... Can I proceed, Chair? Do you have it, Chair? Should I proceed?
Yeah, I've got it. Starts at page 3, is that right?
Page 4.
I thought you said you want to read from paragraph 7.
Yeah, paragraph 7 and paragraph 8, Chair, before I make my point.
Okay, my paragraph 7 starts at page 3.
Is the...
My paragraph 7 starts at page 3.
Page 3. No, I'm at page 4, Chair. Page 4.
Yours started, let me make sure we have got the same.
The same, Chair. I think from what you were reading, it should be the same.
Mr. Dupek's affidavit, is that right?
That's correct, Chair.
And in terms of red numbers, paragraph 7 is at page 8 on my red numbers at the top.
Yes, Chair. I think the red numbers is page 4, Chair.
That is the...
I think, in fact, is the letter, Chair, from the attorneys.
Letter?
Yeah, before the affidavit, sorry, Chair. The covering letter.
The notice?
The notice, Chair.
The notice of motion?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay, all right.
Do you have that in page 4, Chair?
Yes, I've got it. Oh, no, I thought you were going to read from the affidavit.
Affidavit itself. No, so my
the
apologies.
notice of motion, yes. Yes, I've got it.
You've got it, Chair. So the letter says, the notice says, it is submitted that fair administrative procedure requires an unbiased, objective, and transparent approach, not only in the presentation of evidence, but also in the process of obtaining evidence prior to it being presented. If the evidence of Mr. Oleman and all witnesses giving evidence relating to the relationship between the applicants and PRASA, as well as Lucky Montana, are allowed to be led without the veracity of such evidence, it will have a severely prejudicial impact on the applicant's right to a fair hearing in the High Court. Of course, Chair, that relates to the court matter that was mentioned. Chair, let me go to the matter. I think that we are dealing with 3 different accounts. I think it's very important, Chair.
Yes, but remember that at this stage, we are not dealing with whether they are right or wrong.
Yes, no, Chair.
I initially just wanted to identify whether this is the affidavit, and you confirmed, and then I wanted to establish where exactly they say what you said they say, and we found out where that is.
It's very clear,
Yeah,
Chair.
okay.
Chair, the heart of what Mr. Soni and I quoted refers to payment from TMM to precise trade. That is, so
Yeah,
the affidavit
from
is
an
very,
Investec account.
yes.
Yeah.
That is the, no, not the investor, that's the investor account, Chair, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's clearly saying there is no transfer from us as TMM
Yeah,
to precise trade.
Yes.
That's the first thing he's saying, Chair.
yes.
That's number one. The second thing he's saying, Chair, and let's not conflate them, because then we're going to confuse ourselves, Chair. The second thing is that we had a relationship with Lobsa van der Vaart as a firm, which then opened an account because they were managing certain things for us. So when you say they've made payments, they're not referring to the account of precise trade, Chair. They are referring to the account of Lobsa van der Vaart, and that is why in the affidavit they take exception to some of the things that is being said. Okay? Mr. Soni, of course, and consciously, Chair, consciously, he conflate those two to support the view, despite the fact that the notes were withdrawn. You remember, Chair, when I said I don't want a concession about these notes? He then returns back to his own original position. Okay? The original position says they don't deny. Chair, let me say, today we're having a major dispute on this issue. And I think, Chair, one of the major things you'll ask, especially in relation to this one, I don't think you should wait for the report. Is it in the interest of justice for these chaps not to be heard and to verify their accounts? You remember why we are here, Chair? It is said that 36 million rands of precise trade comes from TMM. Chair, I'm still saying it is false. They are saying it is false. Okay? Because they are not talking about that. They are saying, if we talk about our work with Lobsa, the firm, we've had the work, and that is for 1, 2, 3. The allegations that has been made, Chair, was that Siangena, which is a division of, is one of the subsidiaries or whatever of TMM. They're not one and the same company. Siangena was given 4 billion rand worth of contract. And it paid. That's the allegation, Chair. That's why I'm here. When we say we must deal with the properties. Mr. Soni said, when I raised my objection, he said, we know for sure, we know that these payments were made by TMM. Okay? So when you see...
Sorry, Chairperson,
No.
may I just object?
Yeah.
This is about the 5th time Mr. Montana said that. Every time I put a proposition to Mr. Montana or to you, I've said that this is what is indicated in
Yeah.
the bank account.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was paid.
Yeah.
I said that's what Mr. van der Walt said.
Yes.
And I challenge again Mr. Montana
Yeah.
to get his clip wherever he gets his clips from, to say that I said I know they paid.
Chair,
I didn't say that.
Chair, it's not
Yeah.
an objection. If you're in Parliament,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are going to say we are going to study the Hansard. In this
Yes.
particular instance, the transcripts and the recording will show us. Unfortunately,
Yes,
Chair,
but what he is saying is, he didn't say he has personal knowledge. I think that's what he is saying. He was simply saying, this is what is said by Van der Walt based on the document, as I understand.
No, Chair.
Yeah.
No. Chair, when I made my objection,
Yeah.
and I think at the last and the next time, so that is why it's not an objection, Chair. He's got a different view. I listened, he spoke, you spoke, Chair, you reverted back to him. Now is my time to respond to this thing.
Yeah, no,
So
no.
so the objection, Chair, it's not an objection. Chair, I want to say, and I hope that when I bring the clip of what he said earlier on today, you'll see that clip, Chair, he says exactly, he said, we know, and I asked the question earlier on, who's we? Is that the commission? Or is that him and the legal department, Chair? And I'll be able to demonstrate that to you, Chair. And that is why I'm saying, Chair, that I find myself dealing with an evidence leader who doesn't want to assist the commission but is putting a particular agenda. Chair, the allegation before us is that TMM paid for properties. Okay? Now, TMM says, we're not involved in that. We never paid. Our relationship is with the legal firm on these particular issues. The allegation is that properties were paid for from the proceeds of the tender that was awarded to Yangena. These guys are challenging that, Chair. Okay? So the accounts must not be conflated firstly. So there's an account of TMM or strokes Yangena. There's an account of Lovard, which what Robert spoke about, and there's an account of precise trade. Okay? So that is the first issue, Chair. So they're saying we never paid precise trade at all. Okay? So that's the statement they're making, Chair. And therefore, they're saying we wouldn't have been involved in paying for Mr. Montana's properties. Okay? Now, this is conflated, Chair, to suggest they've paid some money. It's actually a dishonest way of presenting, Chair. Because you are saying there's payment. No. There's payment. There's a relationship that they describe there. And I don't think, Chair, that we should, the Chair should say, in the light of this big issue, that we should go and say, let's wait for the report. The commission made certain statements, which are not I want to argue, Chair, they are not factually based. They are based on, and that is why he even said, the inference we draw suggests. Now, I asked, Chair, you said you shouldn't go to that issue earlier on. I said, would Mr. Soni says with absolute certainty to you, Chair, now, I'm asking him, and tell you and the country and say, TMM paid precise trade and precise trade, not inferences, precise trade, then bought properties from Montana. The proposition, a different proposition that I presented, and which is backed up by evidence, it shows two things, Chair. It shows Montana buying properties, selling them, and entering and investing in other properties. That's one. That we can see in documents, including the annexures that I gave to you today. There's no, and I mentioned very clearly, there's no Siangena in all of those properties. The second one, Chair, the second proposition that is very clear, which he doesn't want to deal with, it shows a whole range of investors, Chair, a whole range of investors in investing in, and I'm not referring to TMM, investors outside investing in precise trade. How did they make a choice that no, that money doesn't come from all these other investors? It comes from this particular one. Chair, I think it's a very important factual issue. And I'm saying that if you listen to what Mr. Soni has been saying now, after he's read this thing, Chair, and his response to Siangena, somebody who assisting the commission would have said something different. That is very important, and I see that he's so invested in this matter, to use that word. He's so invested, he's passionate about it, Chair. Because if I was not here, Chair, we're going to move from the premise that the TMM paid precise trade. TMM didn't pay precise trade. And the fair process to follow is not for Mr. Soni to speak on behalf of, or Mr. Montana and Mr. Soni to speak on behalf of these guys. It is perhaps proper for either these guys to come and tell and say to the commission, and the commission ask questions. But I feel that Mr. Soni has crossed the line in my view, Chair. And I want to say, Chair, that I don't know what is the procedure. We are towards the end of this process, Chair.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll need to take legal advice.
Yeah.
But I think that not only on this one, Chair, throughout, has shown himself that he's incapable of assisting this commission. And the fact that he can promise you that we are gonna take out all those what do you call it, notes and other documents that were lifted from elsewhere. Yet when he speaks, he goes back to all of that, to what the notes were saying, Chair. He actually affirms. Now, Chair, I think we should go back. I think we should go back and say, Chair, that it is important that we look at these issues dispassionately. I don't think he's capable of doing it now. Chair. I think that you can see the level of hostility towards TMMC and Ghana. It's unprecedented from an evidence leader, Chair. But that has been consistent. And I said on my first day when I arrived here, Chair, I said, Mr. Son is conflicted. He refused. And what did he do? He then, in his own statement, confirmed that he did work and was briefed by Werksmans and all of those people. Now, I'm not surprised with the way in which he conducts himself. Chair, the factual matter is...
Sorry, Chairperson, I must object again.
Yes.
What
Chair,
I did confirm, Chairperson, is that I did one opinion from PRASA. I've never said I've worked for Werksmans in relation to
But that's a
PRASA.
conflict, Chair.
Yes.
It was not disclosed before I said it, Chair.
Okay.
He had the duty to disclose that to the commission.
Okay,
Chair.
let's do this.
But can I finalize my point, Chair? I was
Yeah,
busy on-
okay.
because that's not an objection.
Yeah.
I said he's conflicted. I'm still repeating it now, Chair. Chair, what should happen in this issue, and maybe the issue about verifying all of these things, okay? And I know, because I've done my own preliminary work to see where the numbers are. I would not come here and be vehement, Chair. But the network that I spoke about when I read the conclusion has been determined. It's quite clear that they're reaching out to Mr. Soni in a particular way. And that is why you hear the line that is taking. And I'm saying, Chair, I've got an objection to that. I took out, we agreed, we wasted about 2 hours taking out certain documents because I said they're based on the thing. Chair, let me ask a specific question. Will Mr. Soni say with absolute certainty to you, now, not tomorrow, now, Chair, and say that I know from all the documents and all the work that I've done, that TMM paid precise trade who intend paid for Mr. Montana's properties? Chair, I think that question is better if he's standing there and tell us, because, but Chair, I've lost absolute confidence in him. I think that when I'm invited, I'm not sure, I think that when I'm taken through my affidavit, assuming that I'll still be invited, Mr. Soni has shown, Chair, I don't think that he's helping you, he's helping the commission. He's pursuing, Chair, a predetermined agenda. And that is why the documents, some of them are left out, others are presented in a way that will push a particular narrative, Chair.
You have made the point, Mr. Montana. One, we have run out of time. Mr. Soni, you may wish to respond to some of this now, in which case you can do so. But we have run out of time with all the time constraints that the Commission has. One has got to reflect as to how we are going to complete what remains. And you have made the points you have made. Mr. Soni, do you want to say something now, or do you want to say it at another time?
Before that, Chair, I thought you would clarify me the process to call for Mr. Soni to recuse himself.
No, I'm not going to decide that now, but I've heard what you say.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Soni, do you want to
Chairperson, may I make this?
Yeah.
This is, as I recall, the 5th day that Mr. Montana. The initial sparring took place and things appeared settled. I'll just make this one point. What changed today was the question I raised with Mr. Montana about the Parkwood property and the fact that you would enter into a deal to sell a property for 6.8 million rand and 3 weeks later enter into a deal to make improvements on the property. And I said, people may say, but that doesn't look proper, appropriate. That's not what ordinary people do. Doesn't look like what you were doing. And I can say to you, Chairperson, you can look at the record, you can look at everything. That is when Mr. Montana thought that here is somebody who is going to get to challenge the version he wants to put. Now, he's entitled to challenge. Chairperson, I can't, as an evidence leader, I cannot come to the commission with no prima facie view about what things. I have to have a view. Otherwise, I would be wasting taxpayers' money by investigating things that, in a sense, are not worth investigating. The PRASA issue has been in the public space from at least 2015. That doesn't mean Mr. Montana is guilty. But when one looks at the evidence, one says that Mr. Montana has many things to answer for. And I again say, it doesn't mean that he has done something wrong. At the same time, when there is evidence, and I've said this to Montana as you clarified it yesterday, and I want to suggest that this is what the evidence may lead to, I'm obliged to put it to Mr. Montana. And I did that yesterday, and I did that today, and that, in regard to the Parkwood property, Chairperson, is what turned Mr. Montana into realizing that he may have certain.
Your voice was lowered towards the end of the sentence.
I say that is what turned Mr. Montana into realizing he may have certain difficulties in providing answers. That doesn't mean he has difficulties. But that's the sense I got from the time that question was put. And the next question, Chairperson, was when I drew a link between the 3.5 million rand paid in respect of the guarantee for the Waterkloof property and drew attention to the 3.5 million rand, which, according to Mr. van der Walt, had been paid into the account earlier that day. Now, Mr. Montana is entitled to ask for my recusal. I just make one point as far as that goes, Chairperson. What cannot be said is that I have conducted myself in a fashion not befitting an evidence leader before this commission. Now, one will hear the application. Just make one final point, Chairperson, and that is the test for the recusal of an evidence leader is very different from the test for the recusal of.
But I'm not going to. I'm not hearing the merits of any application for recusal at the moment. I've heard what Mr. Montana says, requesting recusal. but that may have to be dealt with in some other way, because right now we have run out of time. We don't have the time. So, so I think we should adjourn. That's number one. Number two, we can all reflect on the issues. I certainly will. And one of the things that I will be reflecting on will be the way forward, particularly given the time constraints. And to the extent that Mr. Montana insists on or pursues his application or request for your recusal, then at some stage I would need to deal with that. But I do want to say this that has crossed my mind as we face the time constraints that we are facing. That despite the fact that we have had, you said 5 days, I think you said 6 days yesterday or today, I'm not sure.
I think today, Chair.
Yeah, 6 days. We have not finished. But from the point of view, as I understand it, of the evidence leaders, the issue of the properties was the last topic from their side. Mr. Montana may have wished to still say something after the topic of properties has been finalized, I'm not sure. We covered some ground. It may well be that, well, one, if one can find another time before the end of May, that would be the preference. But if we can't find time, it may be that the rest of the issues may have to be dealt with in writing. So questions can be put and answers can be provided in writing and so on. So that's one of the things that has crossed my mind, but the preference is if we can find time and we have a hearing like this, that is what the preference would be. So I'm just sharing with you, both you, Mr. Montana, and Mr. Soni, what has crossed my mind, and you can start thinking about it. We don't have to decide it now. I must reflect on it as well, but I must first see whether we can find another time when there can be a hearing like this.
Well, Chair, thank you very much. I wouldn't have a problem with that, Chair.
Yes.
But I'll be deeply, I'll be aggrieved, Chair.
Yeah.
If this commission, Mr. Soni says, my version. You remember, till thus far, Chair, I've been responding to all the allegations made against me. I think, Chair, it would be fair that before this commission adjourns or ends its oral hearings, that Montana is given an opportunity to tell his story, his side of the story. Because I've been answering questions, Chair.
Yeah.
And I think that if the commission says you can't do that,
yeah,
then I also think that the Chair will apply to you to allow me that I make my own affidavit public.
Yeah.
But Chair, I think we'll wait until you give us guidance on your decision so that one exercise, but I think it would be unfair, Chair, considering the issues that I've raised in response, and I say I will elaborate and deal with them in my affidavit.
No,
it will, Chair, I think it will be a gross act of injustice for this commission not to hear, even if it selects few issues because of time, but not to hear it and admit it, Chair. I think that it will be unacceptable to me, Chair. Let me be very upfront about it.
No. You still talking about the affidavit that is subject to the process that has been going on between?
Yes,
the
Chair, I think it will be, we said it will be ready on Thursday for you to
Yeah.
decide, Chair.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We know what the position is with regard to that affidavit.
Okay, no, thank
Yeah.
you, Chair.
In terms of what you may wish to say, to the extent that you say you would like to tell your story, what kind of amount of time were you thinking of? If we found time before the end of May?
Well, Chair, I don't know, I mean.
30 minutes?
Well, Chair, I think it may take an entire morning or afternoon. Let me indicate the issues that you've discussed, Chair.
Yeah, no, don't indicate. I just wanted to have an idea. Obviously, I might not give you the amount of time you wish for.
No, Chair, I'll
Yeah.
accept that, Chair, but I
Yeah,
think the question
yeah.
I'm raising is that
Yeah.
if I say Mr. Soni has taken sides,
Yeah.
is he the right person to lead me in
Yeah.
my evidence? That's a big question, Chair,
Yeah.
that we have to look at. But on properties, Chair,
Yes.
I think, Chair, ultimately, I don't even want to pursue this anymore.
Yeah.
I've said what I've said.
Yes.
I think that ultimately the evidence will guide,
Yeah.
will be ultimately the determinant. That is
Yeah.
why I was asking that question. Can
Yes.
Mr. Soni says with absolute certainty to this commission
Yeah.
that there's been payment from TMM, and I think he has been avoiding that question, Chair.
Yeah.
But for now, I
Yeah.
leave it at that, Chair, and hope and
Yeah.
look forward to me presenting my evidence, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Let's then adjourn this day's session, and in one way or another, there will be communication, Mr. Montana, as to what's going to happen. We are going to adjourn for about 15 minutes to allow the evening session team to set up. That will be evidence relating to Mr. Gama. And for the benefit of the public, tomorrow during the day, I will be hearing the evidence of the Inspector General, Dr. Dintwe. And in the evening tomorrow, I'll also continue with Mr. Gama's evidence. We adjourn.